Hi, my name's Lindy and welcome to the channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. My email is info@lindycowling.co.uk, and the title of the video today is Why Apathy Misaligns with Ascension. Why apathy misaligns with ascension. So notice the word apathy there, not empathy, but apathy. Apathy meaning when you're like, comme ci, comme ça, aren't really bothered either way, an apathetic kind of attitude to things. Now, this is very different to a balanced view of things, and let me explain the difference. Now, this video has been brought about by a few things really, but this has been something that's been on my mind for a couple of weeks now, and then often when something's on my mind and I'm mulling it around or coming to a place of resolution on it, sorting it out within my own energy, someone will put a video up or something that prompts me in the direction to where I was going to go, or it reconfirms what I was going to say, or reconfirms what I've already said, etc., etc. And that's the great thing about working in that particular way. So where I want to go with this is there is a huge, in my view, misconception in the whole arena of the light worker arena and spirituality, really, in the light worker arena, where there is this belief really that if one puts their focus on something like the millions of people starving in the world, or the homeless, or people that are sick, or poverty, or any of these arenas, and what's happening to the natural environment, anything like that, that if you are in the light worker industry or in spirituality, if you put your focus on that, then you are somehow coming from a place of fear, or somehow you're going to align with that vibration, and then suddenly you're going to have poverty, or you're going to go into starvation, or you're going to be contributing to the Earth's decline, or something like that. To be honest, that is, in my view, far too linear a perception of it, and we are in great danger as humanity of turning our back on huge swathes of our society that need our assistance, and also huge parts of us that need assistance, and also huge parts of the earth. And I could ask the question, what is it to have a humaneness? To ascend, one has to be resonating and the embodiment of compassion for one's fellow man and for one's planet. And it is gross spiritual bypassing, in my view, to then turn a blind eye, so to speak, to all of those aspects. And that would include, while we're on this subject, this popular teaching that's being put out there that anyone that aligns with anything that's uncovering the truth in society or the world or governments, anything to do with conspiracies or anything, is therefore someone that is encouraging fear and not encouraging ascension. You might want to put your fingers in your ears at this point, because I'm going to swear that is a complete and utter load of bollocks. Some of these people that have been out there for 20 or 30 years exposing the truth to the risk of their own lives. Some of them have lost their lives doing that, and their well-being doing that, are not people that are just promoting theories. They are people that have concrete facts behind them. These are legitimate professional researchers that can back up what they're saying. These aren't people that are just propagating a myth. These are people, some of which actually I have personally met, and actually personally worked with. And my entry point to the whole arena of spirituality, apart from being born to a lineage of well-known healers, mediums and clairvoyants in their own right, my actual entry point into my experience, let's say, of the light worker industry is through being invited onto very high profile truth uncovering radio shows all over the world. I didn't go looking for it. I was invited onto them. And I didn't come from a conspiracy angle. I came from a truth bringing angle and all about the hearts and actually love and expansion. And I'm now going back as far back as 2006, when I was on Radio 1 twice, 2006, 2007, Red Ice Creations, 2000 and can't think, it was 2009 or 2011, James Gilliland, 2011. And so the list goes on. Irish radio, American radio, multiple times, all talking about expansion, ascension, coming into the heart and actually exposing, let's say, the truth of things. People only get their own perception and perspective of the truth of things as they are awakening into their own consciousness rungs of the heart. So this is why I'm so big on and so passionate about helping people to come into their own awareness, their own awakening, their own discernment, and to become fully conscious, so that then they perceive their reality from that filter. The perception of that reality does not mean to say that shit, excuse my French, is not happening in this world. Look, I am running my reality from my heart. I am en route to becoming more conscious as every month passes. I'm still on that journey, as millions are. But I don't then become less humane, less compassionate, less loving, and turn my back on or cover my eyes to, block my ears to atrocities that are going on this planet, to the planet and to the people that are on it. I don't obsess myself with that, but I do not spiritually bypass it and say that's not my reality, therefore I'm not taking notice of it. How inhumane is that? To say, I don't happen to be a Rohingya, so I'm not in a genocide program and I'm not being exterminated. Actually, look around you. Wake up, guys. There is a genocide program going on in the West as well. Just look around you. I don't say that to promote fear. I come from a 22-year background of researching these kind of things. It's not just a fashion statement and it's not just a theory. What I would say to you is it's a balancing act here, and apathy, being apathetic to things and just saying, well, it's not my experience on a daily basis, therefore I'm not homeless, so why would I want to change the homelessness or help people? I'm not starving. Why should I put any focus on a chunk of the world starving when they don't need to be? I could go on and on about this. It's totally the opposite of ascension. Ascension is the descension of consciousness from the brain running the show to the expanded portal of the multidimensional quantum heart running the show. It does not mean you are then almost inhumane in a way, to not have an interest and a strong passion to be of service to the planet and humans on it. In fact, anyone who's genuinely going through a process of ascension, actually they go more that way, more compassionate, more humane, more wanting to help people on the planet. It's just a byproduct of it. You become more loving and you don't turn away from things that are not comfortable to witness. There is a difference between spending 24 hours a day getting really upset, agitated, in a state of rage and anger and fear, watching something that distresses you and then doing jack all about it. There's a difference between that, and of course doing that would make you feel pretty rough and drop your frequency. There's a difference between that and actually feeling passionate about something, feeling it's not right, and trying to make a difference in the most tiniest way you can. Raising your own consciousness makes a difference to the whole planet, but there comes a point where everybody's sitting in their own individual units or homes or houses raising their own consciousness is not enough. You do actually have to sometimes help with things or do something about something. It is, like I say, one way of looking at it is spiritual bypassing. This is something I've encountered over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, both in my personal and professional life. And I see it all the time, absolutely all the time. It's rife throughout the world. It's rife throughout the light worker industry. This whole attitude of this is what it is to be enlightened, or this is what it is to be this, and when you are like this and when you are ascending and becoming conscious, you're chilled out about everything and nothing really affects you. There's a difference between being chilled out about everything and just being balanced. There are many things, as you can hear in my voice, that I feel are gross atrocities on this planet, to this planet and to the people on this planet. And I feel very passionate about that, and I've felt passionate about it for over 22 years. Yes, I'm coming from the heart and I am balanced. I still feel passionate about these things. You don't lose your personality by ascending. What happens is your personality, your perception of the world and your consciousness expands. So you are more, by a natural byproduct of it, balanced, and your emotions are running through the portal of the heart. But it does not mean that you don't give a shit about anything that's going on. In fact, if anything, you are more well informed about everything that's going on, and more, as a byproduct of it, aligned with being of service to people and the planet to help with it. So it is too linear a statement to say anyone that is not happy with the way the political system is, or the way the world is going, or the way the planet is going, or the mistreatment of the planet, or the mistreatment of the people, or the genocide programs, extermination programs, the way much of the governments are run, etc. It is just way too linear to say that if you take an interest in that, you are aligning with fear. Way too linear, and that statement comes from a linear perspective. There is a difference, like I say, between shutting yourself away and coming from a place of powerlessness, looking at something that is distressing and obsessing about it. There's a different, it depends what perception you take. If you're coming from a perception of that is unjust, and I am choosing to live in a world or reality where that injustice is not acceptable anymore, then you can make a difference. Otherwise, that kind of reality is going to continue for millions. Somebody else watching this will probably say, from a space of spiritual bypassing again, but those millions chose to be suffering, or chose to be in a genocide program, chose to be murdered, chose to be exterminated, chose to be mistreated. and they chose to have that experience. Even if they chose to have that experience, what does it say about you if you don't want to live in a world as a whole that is aligned with helping people? I mean, I'm going to give you a real blunt example of this here, because this is what I do on this channel. It's an experiential channel. I went to a well-known supermarket in this country a couple of weeks ago, and as I was walking towards the supermarket, there was a guy who looked exactly like Mad Eye Moody, the character out of Harry Potter, who's quite an intimidating looking guy, actually, about middle-aged, like the name implies, Mad Eye Moody. This guy was about twice my size, and he was bent double holding on to a trolley, and that's what we call shopping carts. In America you call them carts, we call them trolleys here. I think you call them carts. He was holding onto a shopping trolley or cart, bent double, obviously in some severe kind of pain or distress or something. And he was in the bit where you park up the shopping cart or trolley. There were people streaming past him. They were looking out the side of their eye and just ignoring him. They registered it, but they thought, it's not my issue, it's not my problem. They walked on by. I immediately stopped, and I knew I had to go over to him. Now, it wasn't from a place of being a do-gooder. I'm going to go over and heal him. I'm going to be the one to do it. It was all too fast and instinctual for that. As a compassionate, loving human being, I haven't got the capability of seeing someone there clearly in distress and suffering and doing nothing about it. If I'd have wanted spiritual bypass, I would have said, or had bystander apathy in psychology terms. I would have looked at him and thought, not my problem, not my issue. Or would I spiritually bypass it and say, on a soul level, he chose to be there at that time and to be suffering in that way. I'm not going to help him or assist. None of that bullshit came into my head, quite frankly, because it was an instinct to help a fellow human being that there's something wrong with him. I didn't stand back and think, oh, I wonder if he's carrying a knife. Is he drunk? Is he not ill? Is it narcotics? He's twice my size. He could flatten me. My instincts were to help him. I walked over to him. I placed my hand gently on his arm and I said, are you all right, darling? Can I do anything to help you? He was really surprised that someone had spoken to him. He said, I think I'll be all right, but I don't feel very well. And I said, can I get you some help? Is there anything I can do? And he said, no, thank you. No, thank you. But thank you so much for caring. Now, even that, I could even well up now with tears in my eyes. For him to say thank you so much for caring, God knows what he'd been on the receiving end, that it was an experience that he was almost invisible to the public. I walked away from him, still not knowing whether really it was he had had too much to drink, something else, or if he was in physical pain. But as far as I'm concerned, there was something wrong, and you could clearly see it. As I went into the entrance of the well-known supermarket, two members of the public came over to me straight away, and they were making a really big deal how I'd gone over to this guy. One of them said to me, I really wished I'd have done that. God, you were brave. And the other one said to me, did you see the blood down the front of him, down the front of his trousers? Now, I didn't even see the front of his trousers. I wasn't even looking. I was looking straightly at into his eyes, really, into his face. So I didn't. So clearly something had happened. And even while we were turning, you could see where the trolleys or the carts were parked up. And even when I glanced there, he had already gone. He had moved on or walked away. Even in that minute since I'd gone in there. Now, what surprised me really was not so much that, but the fuss that people were making that I even went over to him and approached him. What kind of world and society do we live in where that is a surprise and people are shocked on thinking you're brave for doing that? I mean, this is my statement to you. What kind of world do we live in, excuse me, where it's not a natural instinct to help somebody that's in pain, having a profound effect on my throat chakra? I don't understand it. But this is a small micro example, like the micro and the macro, a micro example of this. I didn't have it in me. It was an instinct to try and help. I didn't think it through or spiritually bypass it. There was a man clearly looking like death warmed up, and he needed some assistance. Okay, it's up to him if he took the assistance or not, but he was just profoundly touched that it had been offered. As I said, that is a classic example of empathy, but not being apathetic. Apathetic was to turn the other way, or bystander apathy, turn away, expect somebody else to take care of it. It's not my business. I actually, in that example, did not align with fear, didn't align with fear of what if he's drunk, what if he gets hostile, what if this, what if that. It was just natural human instinct. We are in great danger of this on this planet of turning a blind eye to everything. The whole point of becoming awakened, aware, coming into one's heart, ascending to one's true reality and truth of their consciousness, coming into a quantum reality, does not mean you have less compassion or less caring, less empathy, less love for the planet and humanity. It is the opposite. So if you find yourself being taught the opposite, or being encouraged then to not think for yourself, to not be discerning, to not want to help people that are suffering, to not help align with the truth and reality coming out, then I suggest that you look hard at those teachings again. As I say, many of the truths that are coming out, you can feel if they are truths that are coming out by your own discernment and by your own gut feeling and by your own reaction. And this whole thing about conspiracy theories, even that saying is a pretty much redundant saying now. Most of the real truth givers and the truth bringers that have put their own lives on the line to bring it to us over the years are not coming from theory. They are coming from stone cold fact, and they can back it up. Years and years of research exposing the truth. If I had a child laying on the lawn outside my house, starving to death, or a dog or a cat out there starving to death, I'm going to ask the question to you. I know what I would do. What would I do? What would you do? Say that's nothing to do with me. They've chosen that path. If I focus on that, that's going to distress me, and then that's going to get me into a state of fear, and I'm going to bring that into my vibration. What are you going to do? Just step over the body then and just walk on by? Apathy is a complete misalignment with ascension, because ascension is the expansion of your conscious heart. A heart that runs on its highest octaves of frequency, from love, from compassion, love and compassion for oneself, love and compassion for humanity, love and compassion for the earth that we live on. There is always a 0 point optimal neutral state of balance, but a neutral state of balance does not mean that you don't get passionate about caring about humanity and the planet. It is that you do have these things, you are motivated to create change within and without to alleviate these things. but that it doesn't mess you up or drag you down into a pit of hell or despair or fear. You come back into a neutral, balanced state about it. It does not mean you go like this and you go like this and you say, it's not my reality, because just because it's not in front of your nose doesn't mean to say it's not happening. If everybody on the planet responded like that, the whole thing is shot to hell. I mean, we're shot to hell, you're shot to hell, and the planet's shot to hell. If we all behave like that, we wouldn't stand a chance. And this is all part and parcel of becoming fully conscious into your heart. The whole point of it is to raise the perception, your awareness, so that you create the reality you would like to be part of. Not just your reality, because all of the realities interlink in a tapestry of overall quantum consciousness. You are a stitch in the overall reality, just like I am, one little stitch in that overall tapestry. So it is true to say, while we are having our unique experiences through unique expressions of consciousness, we are all stitches in that overall tapestry. So there is an interlinking going on there. This is where the teachings "we are all one" come from, along those kind of lines. There is an interlink, a connectedness between the person that's having their head shot off over the other side of the planet and you sitting watching a game show in your house. There is an interconnectedness between that. Whether they are two different ends of the polarity or spectrum or consciousness, there is a connectedness. We can no longer say, it's not happening in my backyard, therefore I don't give a shit. And you think, or we think, we're going to ascend with that attitude? Like I say, a natural byproduct of ascending is to become more caring, more loving, more compassionate, more humane. You actually become more of these things the further you go up into the heart. Apathy will get you as far away from empathy as you can imagine. And empathy and caring and love is in alignment with ascension. Apathy is a total misalignment with it. It is spiritual bypassing. And apathy is actually born of fear. And the teachings to be apathetic are actually coming from fear, because the whole thing behind that is, if I don't align with it, if I don't look at it, then I'm not going to get caught up in it. Too linear a view, totally misaligned, and it will not get you to the heart of your own ascension and the heart of who you are as a humane being. On that note, I will love you and leave you. As always, thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. Thank you for supporting me as this channel in all the ways that you do. I will love you and leave you. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon. Bye guys. Bye bye.